Thank the Force. Thursday night, Star Wars News Net Live, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Luke J joining me this evening. My name is Tyler. It's going to be a phenomenal Thursday evening because we have some juicy stuff to talk about. I can promise, legitimate promise, one good rant for me this evening, if not two. I have not had the best week in the world. So, you know what? I'm going to take that out on some people this evening. Not you two.
Oh, no.
I love you
Here we
two.
go.
I love you two. So, I cannot wait to get into some of that. But we have some fun things to talk about as well. We had a massive Andor news dump today. Very exciting. We had a little sizzle reel, little 10-second, 15-second teaser for Andor. Little teaser fingers going on here. So that'll be fun. I cannot wait to get into it. And we have obviously the Hollywood Reporter piece. So we're going to be talking a lot about Rey this evening. Juicy stuff. Are we feeling good to get into the juicy stuff this week, Mr. J, Mr. Luke? 3 weeks in a row, I'm joined by both of you, and so I feel like maybe we're getting to a little bit of a groove here of a rhythm, so to speak. I don't know, but I'm digging it. Whatever it is, I'm digging it. How we doing? What's up?
One more week and I'm out. I can only do
Probably.
4 weeks in a row. No, I'm doing great though. But yeah, no. It's a lot.
Ben, did you skip my class today? You weren't in class today. I hope that was because we're on YouTube at 10 o'clock, but we were in an ELA 5th period. I hope everything is okay, but I would love to make sure we're going to be at school tomorrow. Anyway, sorry, Jay.
Oh no, it's all good. But yeah, no, doing great. Today, Dragon Quest came out, so I'll be putting out a new review on that. Actually, I can show it to you. I am so glad that I got. Ooh, hang on a second. Dragon Quest 3. Here we go. New game. Putting out a review on it on New
I'm
Games
guessing that there was a
So-
Dragon Quest 1 and 2 that I must have just missed.
40 years ago, or maybe about like 30 years ago, was the original Dragon Quest 1 and 2. So this is like the new remake that they're doing. So really cool.
Bringing it back.
Yeah. So you can check that out coming up on new Good Games Soon, my YouTube channel. But anyways, that's going on my end. So
Luke, are you ready to talk some timeline show tomorrow night? We got first 4 episodes of the High Republic for Marvel that we're talking about this week.
Ooh.
Exactly. So that's going to be a lot of fun because the Phase 1 comics start out hot. They are
actually have
real good.
The physical copies of
You've
those.
got the
so
omnibus and the trade paperbacks for those. And those are going to be really good. So that's going to be a really fun discussion. But it's not going to be more fun than the discussion we're going to have tonight. That's right. Get hyped. Let's see the chat pop off right now. Let's go.
So I will say, too, if you haven't checked out Monday's podcast, it was a good catch up between Paul and I, where we talked about some of our differences with some of the upcoming announcements. The Simon Kinberg trilogy. We went off on that for a while. We have very different points of view as always. I'm trying to think of something in Star Wars where Paul and I actually feel the exact same about. Maybe it's we both love Rey Skywalker, like we both love Rey. Like that might be about it. So I always love talking with Paul because it's like we know we're gonna clash, but it's always in a fun, very fun, lighthearted way for the most part. Unless we're talking about The Last Jedi, then I have to calm Paul down a little bit sometimes. But not that I ever try to antagonize someone with some of my Last Jedi love. Not that I've ever done that in my entire life. But are we ready to talk some Andor this evening? Shall we get into the Andor? Are we ready?
Yes.
Jay, Luke, are we ready? What do you want to tackle first? Do you want to tackle just the little 10-second clip that happened first? Because there was some big things there. You want to tackle that first?
Yeah, go in chronological order.
Okay. I'm not a big, when it comes to trailers or when it comes to little clips like this, I'm not a big of let's break it down moment by moment. Obviously, there's not a lot of moments in a 10-second trailer, but I just want to know, was there something that just popped out to you just from the little bit that we saw? What was the pop out moment that really grabbed you just from, a little clip?
There's two thoughts from me. And that's not that I immediately had thoughts of my own. I saw my own timeline on social media blowing up about the first scene where it looks like it might be the Gorman massacre that has been referenced in Rebels and maybe even season 1 of Andor. We might be able to see that on screen, which might be terrifying. And also,
the way you say that, so like you're like, we might be able to see the Gorman massacre on screen. That would just be great.
there's also potentially the plains of Lothal behind Bix at some point. Super speculation, but there's a grassy field behind her, and so as a massive Rebels fan, I would love to see maybe Lothal involved in a live action. Well, involved more in live action. So
can I push back and tell you that I think that's Dantooine?
That'd be awesome. I would also love that.
That'd be cool.
I've been like looking at. I got into the weeds on this and was trying to research like what Dantooine would have looked like, because we don't really know a lot about Dantooine,
Right.
you know, but thinking about the timeline of like there's the rebels. We know they're going to end up on Yavin, but where the show picks up, I'm guess they're not going to be on Yavin yet. Like there has to be like a progression, and we know that the rebels are at least at some. They haven't announced. They never said. I don't think if the entire main rebel secret base was on Yavin, or if like Dantooine was like a splinter base, kind of like when in Princess Leia of Alderaan book, you know, there's like a rebel base on Crate that's there for a while, and it gets abandoned, but. I'm wondering if we could see like Dantooine pop up, because we know, you know, in A New Hope, when they get to Dantooine, it's like it feels like they somewhat recently evacuated Dantooine. Like it maybe hasn't been long, because they were like they used to be there. There's remnants of a base, and if you're seeing clear remnants of a base, and it was very obvious to me, that speaks okay, we're there not too long before Yavin. And if we're jumping in all of these years, maybe it's like one of the last arcs of the show, like a year before Rogue One, which would take us right about the time when the Death Star is gonna, you know, blow up Alderaan. So I'm going with the Dantooine theory that we're gonna be on Dantooine, and I would back that up even more with Gilroy saying how we're going to go to a lot of familiar locations, but also some brand new ones as well. Like he said, basically, we're jumping all over the place in this show. And I feel like Dantooine is a place where it's familiar in the minds of everyone that's watched A New Hope, because you've heard Dantooine so many times, but it's completely unfamiliar for everyone because we've never really been there. We've never really done anything.
The Tartovsky 2003 Clone Wars, I believe, Mace Windu goes to Dantooine and fist fights B2 battle droids on that planet.
Wait, that was on Dantooine?
I think so, but
I think Luke's right.
Again, that's not even actually technically canon. So
yeah,
but
there's a lot of ideas that
Dantooine's like, but you have heard of me.
But you have heard of me.
It's definitely a lot of ideas though from the Tarkovsky, you know, anime, the 2001, I believe, or it's no, I'm sorry, 2003.
3.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas from that that's still like prevalent though, right? I mean, like Anakin's scar, Massage Ventress, a lot of that stuff that was introduced in that series gets carried to the Clone Wars, even though it's not canon, which is funny.
Well, and I don't know if Manslayer is going to be in the chat tonight or if he's here yet, but he has a really good, you know, graphic that he shared with me, and where he said how a lot of the stories from, you know, the micro series of Clone Wars fit in seamlessly with the ideas of, you know, what the Clone Wars that George Lucas ended up making, you know, later on. They fit seamlessly. There's only a handful of stories that don't exactly like mesh well. They clash quite a bit, but if you take out those, like a lot of it fits really well, and like thematically fits in really well. So like I think while it's not, like Luke said, it's not canon technically, I think it's one of those, like I think there's aspects of it though, kind of like what Jay's saying. I think there's aspects of it where you can say, yeah, like that's a story that could have happened. Like I think it's in between Legends and canon. It's like in like a gray area to some degree too.
I've kind of evolved to the point where like, if there's something that's Legends, but there's nothing that's canon going on at the same exact time that's like disputing it, I'm kind of like, sure, it's head canon, I guess, for me. It's not technically by Star Wars, but like it works for me.
Right. Well, like
I mean,
I've always viewed Legends. Go ahead, Jay.
no, I was just gonna say, like, just talking about the Dantooine or Lothal, this background right here, this building almost looks very Lothalish though. So, if we're thinking that it might be Lothal, like Luke was saying, I don't know, that kind of looks like it could be from Lothal.
I think it's just like an imperial center of sorts. Like that's just the style that they're going for. Like that
True.
might just be a
Yeah.
familiar aesthetic. And
Like
then
are the same architecture that
Mhm.
carries from like like you see like rare Roman architectures and other
Yeah.
places that isn't in Rome because they colonized and went
Mhm.
to different locations, right?
Yes. Yeah, and
yeah.
then like even I don't know, I think about like when I think of like the Trade Federation, like all of their command ships look kind of like exactly the same, and their little
Right.
like hubs like look exactly the same too. Like the Imperial Star Destroyers, they're all uniform in what they kind of look like. It's so I would imagine if they have these little command structures, they would look similarly in other places.
True.
But even back to like the Legends comment Luke made, I kind of agree with Luke in the sense of anytime I hear the word legends and I hear about these Luke stories, and I think sometimes we get so upset that they're not considered quote unquote canon. But from my personal point of view, which Obi-Wan has told me is very important that I, maintain my point of view. I feel like there have to be so many stories of the Jedi, from Luke or Luke, and even Leia to like a extent that are probably not true that we're told, or like aspects of them happened and then they got changed over time. So like I think how much of our own like history and things that we are reading, watching are taken from a lens of legend, so to speak, and we're enhancing that. And I think you could do the same thing with Star Wars. Just because I'm reading a Luke story that's from Legends that isn't canon doesn't mean that something like that could not have happened in Luke's time. So I don't know, that's why I think that it's easier for me to like, I still enjoy occasionally getting a Legends book out and reading it. Like, I think I still get a lot of joy from that, even though it's not considered timeline canon. But
for sure. Yeah.
With Dantooine, I hope we see something like Dantooine and we get more into these other rebel bases so we can see how it comes together. And I what do you think the Gilroy means by we're going to do Yavin? Like he said, what was the exact quote? Like, we're going to do Yavin way different than anyone has ever done it. Like, it's not going to be done like we've done Yavin before. And I wonder what does that mean in terms of setting up Yavin, being at Yavin? Are we going to see more morally gray things come out of the Rebel Alliance that are ordered from Yavin? Like, is that something we're going to get more of? Or is it more about how they just come to be at Yavin is different? I think both things are plausible.
Yeah, so the quote, which is like a couple sentences here, is, I mean, we have to end up in Yavin, right? So we'll tell the story of Yavin. No one has quite dealt with Yavin the way we'll be doing it. So throwing that planet name in there a lot in those three sentences, but I'm not sure what that is going to mean, because I don't feel like we have a super strong sense of what it even is right now. It's not like we've spent an entire series there already in some kind of show or movie yet, but
we spent a decent amount of time there the last season, like in Rebels, towards the end of Rebels.
True.
Went back and forth a little bit.
And there's quite a bit of screen time on Yavin in Rogue One. So
yeah.
I'm not sure what he's gonna like flip on his head, or I'm not really sure what he's going for. Is it going to feel more colder and militaristic rather than like a base where people are living? I'm not sure. It's kind of what I'm leaning toward.
Well, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever actually seen like them discovering the planet Yavin. Have we? No, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen like a canon.
If it exists, I have not read it.
Yeah, I was trying to think if maybe in Rebels they showed the rebellion discovering Yavin.
It jumped to them being there.
And then also like I'd like to see like the discovery of Yavin, like, and then also them building the actual bases and structures. you know, and actually like we don't really know too much as well, like whether or not there was like, you know, like the history behind Yavin, whether those structures were there before the rebellion came. So I think that would be a really cool angle, like the seeing the rebellion come in and, you know, setting up there as the location of the base.
I know there's some legend stories that are dating back to like the old Republic, and there's Exar Kun is someone who like had a base on
Yeah, right.
Yavin. So like there's all this stuff that's like lore behind it, but I don't know how much of it is canon. Or Tony Gilroy definitely doesn't give a crap about Exar Kun or anything.
Legends.
So
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
What the hell are you talking about, Luke? Like, what the hell, man? Like, you know that he walked
to have
in
a staff lightsaber.
No, the first meeting they had about Andor season 2, Tony Gilroy came in and goes, guys, Exar Kun, guys, that is the move. Like, this is the prophecy. Like he walked in and said, "Can I tell you about the mask of like Darth Monin or whatever?"
that was his pitch. Yeah, exactly.
That was his pitch. Oh my goodness. No, but I think that we're gonna see. I think he's gonna talk more about, like Jay kind of leaned into, like the discovery of Yavin and how we bring all of the rebel cells together, because in New Hope the rebellion is centrally established at Yavin 4, and in Rebels we have Chopper Base, and we know that there's other splinter cells out there, and they each have their own like little, you know, command structure at their own secret base. But in Rebels, it basically season 3 ends with they kind of all come together a little bit on Chopper Base. Some of the leadership is there, and then the Mandalorians come help them out. And season 4 is like, we're now at Yavin with all the leadership. All the leadership is together at Yavin. But I don't know if we're there, that they're there yet in Rebels season 3. Like if some of them are there and they're slowly charting, bring that in. Because I think it just kind of just jumps to where, yep, we're centrally located now here at Yavin. So I want to see one, kind of like what, you guys mentioned, like how do we get to the point where everyone is located there? But I'm actually way more interested in seeing the Empire trying to figure out how the rebellion is organized, because in season 1 it was so much of Dedra, like if I was them, this is exactly how I do it. Like nothing, like we're all over the place, making it seem random, even though it's too random to be random, is what they, she and her assistant decided. Like I want them to ultimately realize that these pieces are all connecting together, and we have to figure out where Yavin is, because in Empire, they're sending out these probe droids all over the place, to every corner of the galaxy. But in A New Hope, it's like we don't know if they've done that yet, or if they're even fully aware how centrally located the rebellion is, because they haven't located the base. It takes them tracking the Falcon to get there. So I want to see how close do they get to discovering Yavin at times during this. Because
that'd be cool.
That would be interesting too. And I would love to see maybe Cassian, when he talks about like we've all had to do horrible things on behalf of the rebellion, if that involves him keeping the secret of Yavin safe. Like, are those the horrible things he's had to do, is keeping Yavin safe, to where in Rogue One, like he's willing to sacrifice everything because he's literally done so much to keep that place safe? Is that, is he having to then sacrifice everything? Because the article says he has a giant like mountain to climb still to get to the person that he needs to be. So I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Like April 22nd cannot get here soon enough.
Oh, that's true, actually. You know what? That's another piece of news that we just got, actually, is the release date. I forgot about that. Yeah.
We'll be seated for 160 days now, I think, because we're like 159 days out maybe by now, I think. Because it was 164 on Saturday.
But who's counting?
5 days ago. I count. I'm one of those losers who count for all of these things. Luke can attest to that.
Yes.
At one point in time, I had a Rogue Squadron countdown, and we were counting down days 1,195 down, and then it just kept getting pushed back to late. And I said, you know what? Maybe it's not worth it.
The number was actually getting higher.
The number was getting higher. It was like, oh, we're 600 days away from Rogue Squadron. Great. And then 3 weeks later, oh, we're 900 days. Nah, 1200. They just kept increasing. And we're, 1 million days away from Rogue Squadron. Let's see. Anything
April
else?
22nd. April 22nd,
22nd.
huge day. Edge of Balance manga number 4 is actually the biggest thing coming out that day for me.
Oh wow!
I'm very sorry to Andor season 2, but you're just not cutting it.
We're not doing a Andor season 2 premiere reaction show. That night, it's actually Luke and I going live to talk about the Edge of Balance manga.
You're gonna get a
volume
live
4.
timeline show.
we're gonna bait people in. Andor season 2, massive Andor season 2 stuff found in manga volume 4.
Aslan Rel on Yavin.
Aslan Rel on Yavin. So, is there anything else from the trailer that stuck out to you? Obviously, we see K2SO pop in, at the very end. But was there anything else that stuck out to you? Obviously, like Luke said, Gorman Massacre could be happening. We have K2SO. Anything else that you were like, oh my goodness? Not particularly.
It's only 10 seconds, so that might be.
Yeah, it's only 10 seconds. But I guess for me, it just felt like I didn't realize how much I was ready for this show again.
Oh yeah,
until I saw that. Like it was only 10 seconds, but I was just so excited and so anxious for it. Like I was to see Bix and Andor and to see like Luthen up there again, and just a very brief exchange between him and Cassian. I'm thinking like a soldier, like think like a leader, like that. Just a brief exchange between those two. I was reeled back in. Like I cannot wait to see how Gilroy finishes this whole thing. Just think about the scale of what this show's trying to do. Like 1 year arcs every 3 episodes for 4 years leading up to the start of a movie. Like it's just a massive undertaking.
It is, and I couldn't be more with you. I really want to see the relationship between Luthen and Cassian develop, and I am extremely curious how Luthen is going to end this show. I'm not saying he's going to be an ended character. I'm just super curious where this is going to go with him, because I love this character. So I never want him to die, but also I feel like he's going to die.
He's gonna burn his life for a sunrise he knows he'll never see. You know what I mean? He just, if we're placing bets on who's gonna die in this show, he's by far and away like the number one favorite to bite the dust, right?
He kind of is, unfortunately.
Jay, if I were asking you who the second most likely character to die that we might have met in Andor, who would you say?
Bix.
Yeah, probably Bix. Yeah, that's what I would guess too. Or maybe well, what about Dedra?
Nah, I like
Zoe?
Dedra. I don't.
You think you like her?
Yeah, I do actually.
Like you like her? She's a good villain, or you're like, oh, that's my character. She is like, I hate her.
Yeah, but that's the okay. But
she's fun to hate.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like you enjoy hating her, is what I'm saying.
Well, no, actually, I actually do like her personality. Well, okay, because I'm like, I think that like you do need like the I like these strong, authoritative, like imperial bad guys. Those
not
cool.
what I'm saying, Jay. Not what I'm saying. I'm saying like,
what are you saying?
Like I love, Thrawn. I think is like an evil villain. I
was about to bring him up.
I love Thrawn, but like
okay.
I get like I hate the character. Like he's a bad guy, but like I love Thrawn.
Yeah,
Dedra to me is like when I'm watching a Game of Thrones and like Joffrey is like I hate Joffrey.
Oh no.
I want him don't to die.
You know who's the Joffrey in the show? Who's the other guy?
That scientist dude?
No. Not
like the head of the ISB.
No, the guy who is like
Cyril Karn.
in love with it. Yeah. Cyril. Cyril is Joffrey. Thank you.
No, I don't hate Cyril. I'm telling you, Cyril's I don't hate Cyril. No, Dedra, I hate her. She like smiles and is excited to put the torture device on.
That's the cool thing, dude.
No, I know, Jay. Like I know, but like I hate her. Like I love that we have a villain that I can just hate. You know what I'm saying? Like when Thrawn's on my
yes, yeah.
screen, I don't hate Thrawn. Like I'm not like I'm like yes, good Thrawn scene. Like he's gonna do something. But I'm not sitting there going like I want them to squash him into a million pieces. No, with Dedra, I'm like I want like Cassian and Bix to get ultimate revenge on this character. Like I want her to die the most grueling, like cruel death for villain. That's how I feel about her. Like as soon as she was like getting she was getting enjoyment out of torturing the people on like Ferris. Like it was like she was getting like enjoyment out of that. And that to me is like I hate that. It's great to have a villain like that in your show. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, come on.
No, I mean, like, because for me, like personally, I don't know. I like, I'm actually like there are times where I'm rooting for her because she's compelling. Yeah, she's compelling.
Maybe.
Anyways, let's move on.
Maybe at the beginning. No. Maybe at the beginning, I get when you're saying like you're rooting for her at the beginning when she's like undermining that other ISB agent that's kind of like a loser. But by the end of the show, like you realize just how bad she is at the end of the show. Like, because at the beginning, I'm like, I even told Jay, I told Luke, I'm like, Deidre seems awful, but they're like, I kind of like think she's like kind of a badass. I'm like, could they be setting up some sort of like, because they always have some Imperial that turns to the rebellion, kind of thing. It's like, so it's like, is she the one that ultimately turns to the rebellion? Because we have all these other established villains. And then by the end, I'm like, no, she is pure. She is the definition of an evil person. Anyway, Luke, you can get in on the Deidre conversation here, and then we can segue into the other main villain of this show that is on the cover of the beautiful magazine that we saw.
I was going to say that feels like a very good transition because I was going to bring that up. I was trying to figure out like how she makes me feel because I was thinking of Thrawn and it's not exactly the same. That's a good point, Tyler. Like it is kind of like Ben Mendelsohn's character. Like I really don't like that guy. I'm so glad that he exists and he does so well at giving us a character that I can just hate and I just want him to fail.
Yeah.
And that's what Deidre Miro is. Like I enjoy the fact that I don't have to humanize her. I don't have to like root for her very often. Like she's bad. She enjoys being bad. So I enjoy watching her fail and I enjoy rooting against her. So that's where it is. Like
I can't wait.
I enjoy that she exists.
Deidre orders the Gorman massacre. Oh. And Jay's gonna be on here and he's gonna be like, yeah, she had a point. Those Gormans, they were giving her problems. She needed to do what she needed to do right there, I'm just teasing. She is a fantastic character. Like what's the name of the actress that plays Deidre? Whoever I forget her name. She is amazing. She's amazing. Granted, like every single
Denise Go.
Yes,
Denise,
yes,
right. That's right.
She's also Yennefer in The Witcher 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that range.
That's interesting. He's always got a video game. He's always got a video game.
There's always a video game connection to be made. Yeah.
When it comes to the video game lore, like Jay can go on. Like he always has like something. Like my girlfriend once told me, she's like, I feel like you have a story for everything. Jay's got a game for every situation. Like he's got a game for every situation. It's impressive. That's why he's the video game master. That's why he's video game guru, of course. So Denise Go, Dedra Miro. Obviously, we know she is the main villain, of the show in season 1 for the most part here. And now we are inserting Mr. Director Krennic back into the mix. And I love the little snippets. And Jay, maybe you could pull up our article about this today of the Empire magazine, because I love the little snippets that Ben Mendelsohn's character gave about his character when he's talking about like their rivalry and how it's kind of cute that she would try to even come at him a little bit, that they're going to be rivals because she is and all these other people are, his underlings. And like Luke said before, like, I just love having this character I want to see fail. Like, it's so fitting. He gets blown up by the Death Star. It's just, it's so good. Like, and I'm so happy that he was also there on Scarif when that happened. But how excited we've known that Krennic is going to be here for, since August. We've known for several months that Krennic was going to be here. And I want to give this to you, Jay, first. What did you feel like? Is it, when you think of the cover for this show in Empire magazine, like, obviously Cassian's going to be there.
Yeah.
Obviously you're probably having Mon Mothma. But if you're going to have a third character, I think a lot of people would have suspected someone else. Was in season 1, but you're saying we're going full Rogue One here with, Director Krennic. How'd you feel seeing him in all of his glory on the cover?
It's funny, like, looking at it right there, I felt like, did they just take a photo that they didn't use from Rogue One and then just insert him there? Because I feel like, because he looks exactly like he did, almost like 5, how many years ago was that? 7? However long it's been. Yeah, like,
they might have, honestly, just for the familiarity for people.
Like he looks exactly like he does in Rogue One. So I thought that was kind of funny. But no, yeah, it was I think that, obviously they want to go for the big reveal. And this is like a really cool one, to grab, because Ben Mendelsohn, obviously, like, a very well respected actor. And a lot of people did like his character. So it's really cool to have him. I thought that, like, if there was anyone else who was going to be on the cover, it would have been K2SO. But no, if you want to go with the, like, oh wow, look who it is, look who's back kind of thing, then definitely Director Krennic was the right call.
I was thinking K2, or even if they had Luthen with, like, the hood up and had
that would have been
his hood up or something. I thought maybe that would happen, but Krennic feels right. You know what I mean? Like, Dedra's the main villain, like, she's evil from season 1, but, like, this is all leading up to Cassian and Jyn, being, pitted against Director Krennic in their race for figuring out the Death Star plans and the weakness. So it is fitting that he's going to be a big part of this. And I am curious to you guys. We never see Krennic and Cassian and Rogue One, like, interact, like, outside of, him trying to shoot at Cassian with his squad while they're getting the plans. But do you think he's going to be aware of who Cassian is in this show? Like, is this going to be a thing where he's trying to catch this specific guy because he's like that's part of his job, as whatever, is he's trying to get this specific person that is causing him problems, and that makes it ironic later that that's one of the people he's one of the other failures Krennic had. He couldn't catch Cassian, who ends up, making sure that, he dies in a sense. Or do you think that it's his story is going to be completely separate?
Gosh, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more separate. I would love the trope of him trying to find Cassian, and the whole season 2 he can't, and that's the one person who kind of foils his entire career and life, really. I think with Krennic, what I am wanting is internal strife with him and Major Padagaz. That they're like two real high up ISB agents that want different things. I think I'd like to see some internal struggle. Even, he's even alluded to Deidre versus Krennic and how that could look. Right. So I think I'm looking forward to the internal strife of the ISB and the Empire, and that's going to work for the rebels. So that's kind of the angle I'm looking forward to.
I love that. Jay, what about you? Where are you seeing Krennic? So I have a theory.
Okay, I want to hear that too, actually, because I honestly kind of do want the two to remain separate. Because in my opinion, like in Rogue One, I never got the sense that there was history between the two. And honestly, I think it'd be kind of more poetic if these two big opposing forces don't really like meet or get to know one another. That being said, it would be cool to see them going face to face and having like a one-to-one chat, almost like a Heath, Robert De Niro, I'm Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Al
Yeah.
Pacino moment, like in Heat, where they're having that one-to-one exchange. I think that'd be cool too, but no, I think it'd be like a lot more fitting, in my opinion, if they just for both characters to be on two separate paths that never really converge.
You know who I think we're gonna see interact together on screen, and it's gonna be absolutely electric.
Darth Vader and Krennic.
No. Kino Loy and director Krennic.
Yeah,
I think you get Ben Mendelsohn and Andy Serkis in a room, and I think that those two, I think they're gonna somehow, because we know there's rumors that some rumors reports that Kino Loy is alive. He's gonna be in the season.
sure. Yeah,
And Krennic's involved. Kino Loy's in possession. He's in there with the Imperials. Like I feel like they're gonna find a way, and the way they're gonna work the story, they're gonna find a way to get those two to interact with each other, because that I'm already trying to I'm imagining what that scene's gonna be like, and I just think that would be must see TV.
Actually though, like for a second, like I kind of was thinking someone else when you said Kino Loy. I was actually thinking in my head though, Luthen.
Oh,
I was thinking that
they'll probably have something.
Yeah, director Krennic and Luthen, I think, would make a really I think they could have some really cool exchanges as well. And if there's anyone who would kill Luthen, I think it'd be director Krennic.
That's fair. Dedra's been the one that's like really been after Axis, so I feel like it'd be almost like, I feel like she is gonna might sacrifice everything to get him. Like she reaches too far to get Axis, and it costs her everything, but she may get the person she's been trying to. Here's the thing: is we know that Cassian and these prisons, they were building things for the Death Star. Like we see that at the end,
right?
And we know Director Krennic is overseeing the Death Star project. So I think if we have an entire prison that was upended and the supply chain went out from this entire prison because of Kino Loy, well, that might be enough to attract the attention of the person who is responsible for the Death Star project coming to the prison to see, why are my supplies not happening on schedule? Why is this happening? And then he's like, who are you? And then he's, interacting with him for the first time and getting, probably not getting a story, but we could see something happen between those two. Like that to me, I would just rewind that immediately. I'm just like, I would just keep going back to that, because those two guys would just be throwing absolute acting haymakers at one another.
I'm picturing Krennic asking, why are you here? And Kino Loy is going to look at him and go, can't swim.
Who are you? I'm the floor manager who can't swim. Oh, that's so good. So any other Andor bits before we move on to talk about the Hollywood Reporter stuff? K2SO, are you excited to see K2SO's him and Cassian get together and become best buddies? I guess we haven't really talked about K2SO.
I'm excited. I think
got our first look.
K2SO is he's a great melding point for Rogue One. Like all the characters, he kind of evens them out, and he's a good comedic relief. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they meet. Maybe we'll see that, maybe we won't. They'll just be like, he's here. I'm interested to see. They're going to completely retcon and ruin the one-shot comic where they do meet already in canon. I'm kidding. That's what's not happening. Yeah. Completely kidding. So I am excited to have him finally in the mix. Oh, it's definitely gonna happen. It's okay. It's a comic.
We're thinking Tony Gilroy's read the one-shot comic from Cassian and K2SO. Well, I guess maybe he has, because he's familiar with was it Edgar Moon? He's familiar with the lore. So I'm sure he has a copy of that comic sitting on his desk when he was writing
the variant cover too.
He's got the variant cover as well. Yeah, oh my gosh! Like I'm sure when he brought, never mind, we don't have to go there. Never mind. So I'm excited. this show's going to be amazing. Is there any doubt in your guys' mind that this season's just going to be even more electric than the first? Like, there really isn't for me. There really isn't much doubt.
It feels very good to be able to look forward to this and be like, this is gonna slap. Like, I know it is. There really just isn't a question about it.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
I'm kind of with you. I'm with you. And maybe we're setting our expectations too high, and we're gonna be a little bit disappointed, But for whatever reason, they're trying to do this massive undertaking in one season of television, 12 episodes. And I have absolutely no doubts that it's going to just be incredible. And that's like a really nice feeling as a Star Wars fan when I feel like every project that either has been announced that never happened or we've been waiting for has either left us very disappointed with a bitter taste in our mouth or having to question what we're going to get. And so it's nice to feel like comfortable, I think, in a project that it's going to just be awesome. So
comfortable is a good word.
So now we're talking about things that we know are going to be great, that we're super confident in, that are going to slap. And now let's talk about something else that is the exact opposite of that, based off of what I have, the scum and villainy that I've read online. And so Hollywood Reporter had an article basically saying that, Rey Skywalker, Rey's character, Daisy Ridley's character, Rey, is the key to, Star Wars cinematic future. The, Star Wars, I believe, Miguel wrote in the article, he was like, Star Wars has one major star character under its belt. It's Rey, Skywalker right now. And we have basically a lot of factions maybe vying for the future of the character and the main direction it's going to go. There's the Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy New Jedi Order film. We have a Simon Kinberg trilogy that's wanting to possibly involve her as an Obi-Wan type character or have her be a main focal point of that trilogy. We know that, oh my gosh, the guy, what's his name? Oh my
Simon
goodness.
Kinberg?
No. Deadpool Wolverine. He's working on.
Oh, Sean Levy.
Yes, we know Sean Levy is rumored to want to be including Rey in his story as well. So it seems like all of these places are trying to vie for Rey right now. And we have her as maybe the centerpiece of Star Wars moving forward. And figuring out the direction of that character is going to be crucial. And they have apparently they have a lot of confidence in the future of Rey as a character as well. That the quote about Star Wars being a nostalgia-based enterprise and they're running out of ways to create nostalgia is just laughable to me. Like that was just just a stupid line, I'll be honest, because like what is Andor as anything but nostalgia? Mandalorian, I think, has some nostalgia stuff baked into it, but there's some also really cool, fresh, cohesive storytelling.
Ahsoka.
But anyway. Like Ahsoka might be, but here's the thing with Ahsoka is every single character in there is not a mainstream character. So
yeah, there's that, and then also, I mean, you have an entire show where they're going to a different universe.
Exactly. So where do you guys stand with the article itself talking about all the different entities at Lucasfilm vying for Rey as this new, the titular like main character for the franchise and how it is important that they figure out where she's going. But where do you guys stand in terms of, I guess, your just overall opinions over like that article in general, talking about like Rey being like the key piece? So I definitely got some opinions to share.
Jay, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, again, like there's a lot of this that was just like insider discussions and he said, she said sort of thing. Not a whole lot, obviously we don't have a whole lot of concrete details to go on. It's an interesting insider piece. I mean, frankly though, like I wouldn't doubt that some of this is probably happening. I mean, with the way that everything is setting up, because like Miguel points out, there was countless movies that are in the works, quote unquote, right? And that still haven't panned out. I mean, we don't even know about the Rian Johnson trilogy. We Taika Waititi, you got, like you mentioned, Sean Levy, and then Miguel mentions in his piece, and you mentioned it earlier, Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron movie. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt that this probably is happening, and like they're looking for a new way to go forward. I mean, people do have an opinion. Yeah, like whether we like it or not, people do have an opinion as well about whether or not Rey should be the cornerstone, I should say, moving forward on which to build upon. Funny enough, the THR article also uses biblical language like that. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a take it with a grain of salt type of article, like a lot of these pieces are. In all honesty, like I hope that I think the thing is too, and I think a lot of people kind of hope this as well, that Rey that they wouldn't just bank on Rey being the only, like, being the big, I guess, big character moving forward. I mean, I think that it's probably like, I think that like maybe someone else could have taken the lead, or I don't know, but
like who? But who is there to do that?
Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to think right now as well. But like,
just because she's like the main person, I don't think, like, she's the main figurehead of Star Wars moving forward, doesn't mean she's the only one that's like in the mix.
right.
Like, Luke
Obviously,
Skywalker is the face of, probably the original trilogy, but we have plenty of stories with Luke and Leia as, or Han and Leia as well, so to speak. So I don't think that, I read that as, yes, they have to figure out the story of Rey Skywalker because she's the most important character left at the end of the saga.
Yeah. So I guess for me, what I was trying to say is, like, I guess, if like they are making, like, there's speculation of Simon Kinberg, doing episodes 10 through 12. I was kind of hoping, like, and I think, even some people, like, maybe not among us, but even just like casual, or even some other parts of the fan base, were hoping that, like, Rey's story would have kind of been done after episode 9. And it's okay that, like, I think, like, with the new Jedi, or like, the new Jedi Order film coming out by with Daisy Ridley coming out soon, that's cool. It's a continuation of a story. But I'm kind of the camp where I was hoping, like, episodes 10 through 12, if that, those do come to a fruition, if it would be even further down the timeline, give someone else like a new trilogy, in my opinion. But that's just me.
We don't know that anything's labeled 10.
Yeah, exactly. That too, right? Which is, a lot of this is still speculative. And even from the THR piece, it seems like Lucasfilm themselves are still trying to piece together what's the future of Star Wars. But and like you said, and like is mentioned in the article, where it says, like, Star Wars is a nostalgia-based enterprise and they are running out of ways to create nostalgia, end quotes. I mean, I don't know if that's definitely not true. And I think that, I hope that, I don't think it's true right now, and I definitely hope that in the future that doesn't become true if they just solely rely on Rey, though. So
but I don't read that and think, oh my gosh, Lucasfilm is only relying on Rey going forward. Like, that's the only character that we're going to rely on, when they have the main feature films that have been announced are about the Mandoverse and the beginning of the Jedi and the New Jedi Order. And maybe we have a New Jedi Order film that spearheads a new trilogy. But where are you at, Luke?
When I hear this, that Rey's story seems paramount to figure out before we can figure anything else out. I think that makes sense to me. She is our main Jedi left. And I think as a character, she pairs off really well with all the other characters around her in the Resistance at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. She and Finn have a very tight relationship. Her and Poe have still some kind of relationship to build there, so there's even more story I feel like you could go with them. The three of them together, and Chewie there too. It's a good group. They're very capable. You can get a story going and get a pretty good, competent villain against them, and they're a powerful group to go against. So I think story-wise, it makes sense to me that Rey would be at the center of things. She'd be a cornerstone. She's a strong character. She can absolutely carry her own story. So it makes me excited that they're going to figure that out, and that's going to be a cornerstone. I feel like it needs to be. I don't think you can just be like, well, episode 9 ended and that was Rey. So anyways, we're moving on to, it's like, I feel the same way that I'm imagining millions of people felt after Return of the Jedi in 1983. I'm like, man,
what's next?
I'm so glad they won. What's next? Like, I loved it so much that I want more. I loved Rey so much. I want to see what happens next. So that's kind of where I'm at. I imagine that feeling. I imagine I'm not alone in that feeling, and that's why it's kind of driving people to ask the same question and try to make stories, exploring the answer to that question. Like, is she going to teach? Is she not going to? What's going to be her relationship with the Force? How does Ben Solo come back into this? I'm poking the bear there, but I think it makes sense to me that, like, you need to figure out what's going to happen next with Rey. And I love seeing how, Daisy Ridley keeps being in interviews for different projects she's in, and she keeps getting to talk about, her excitement for Rey. So I'm excited.
She seems happy about it too.
She's hopefully going to see that to fruition. Like,
yeah,
I feel bad for her that she's been having to answer about Rey since 2019, and here we are like 5 years later, and there's not a movie in production. So I'm really just hoping that, like, she gets to at least have 2 more movies of killing it as Rey.
Right.
Here's the thing about Rey, and Rey is my favorite character from the sequel trilogy quite easily. It's not even close. And here's the problem that we're seeing online. The sexism in the Star Wars fandom, and that exists in the places here, and just the absolute misogyny, it pisses me off and makes me so angry. Because if Rey, I'll say it, if Rey was a dude that was named Luke Skywalker, grew up on a desert planet, and in her first major movie destroys the ultimate galactic weapon in the universe, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. No one's ever called Luke a Mary Sue. No one has ever called Luke all of these things. And so it internally gets so frustrating, because I understand if people are not a fan of Rey. That makes sense to me. If you aren't a big fan of Rey, that's fine. I don't care. But don't come at me online when I see what people try to do is turn this into something that it's not, which is somehow Star Wars is quote unquote woke for having a female leading the Jedi movement, or when there's people that attack, Daisy, saying when she learns to act, then we'll finally, we can move on. Or if you're going to shove Rey down our throats, we don't want any part of it. That to me has no place in the Star Wars fandom, because that's not rooted in something that's actually helpful or moves the conversation of Star Wars forward. That's just hate speech, and that's just nonsense. And we have to get that out of there. Because there's a difference between me attacking Rey as you know what, I don't gravitate towards that character as much. I appreciated more, Finn's story arc, or I like more of the Kylo Ren stuff, or the Poe, or I didn't appreciate the sequels as much. That's fine. We can have a constructive conversation about that. But when the driving force of the anti-Rey sentiment is not rooted in a lot of normalcy, that's when I get really frustrated, because I think the vast majority of fandom that's not chronically online. The vast majority of like casual fans like Rey, they want to see what happens next. Like I think, like Luke said, and a lot of those people are younger people. Those are kids. Those are people that are growing up with the sequel trilogy. And Luke, is she ever going to be as popular as Luke Skywalker? No, she's probably not ever going to be as popular as Luke Skywalker. Like, no one's ever going to be as popular as the first Jedi we really saw on our screens, probably. But that doesn't mean she's not a character that shouldn't be given a platform to see that story go. She's still there. And I get frustrated. I see people saying, well, if they're going to move forward with Rey, you know, it's Disney's going to say goodbye to being profitable. Like, these movies aren't going to be profitable when Rey was the star of all three of these movies, and every single one of them made over $1 billion in the box office. Like, come on now. Like, we see people dressed up as Rey all the time at Disney. They have probably sold $1 bajillion worth of Rey lightsabers. Like, Rey can absolutely carry a movie and make $1 billion in that movie if the story is right and they give Daisy Ridley a great script. So I don't want to hear about all that nonsense, because it's ridiculous, and it just really gets me going when I see that, because Rey deserves more as a character, and Daisy Ridley deserves better as a human being for being in this, you know, realm. And we've seen this a lot with female actresses that are playing roles in Star Wars. Like when we think about what Moses Ingram went through in Obi-Wan Kenobi and things like that. This is like, we've seen
even
examples
Christina
of this.
Ariel. She was the host of the High Republic show. She's not even an actor in Star Wars, and she was attacked quite hard. She's just simply hosting a show talking about Star Wars, and and
it's not indicative.
Has no place in this fandom,
and it's not the majority of the fandom. It's just like these people that go out of their way to do that, and
they're quite loud about it.
Yeah, and they're quite loud about it. I think Rey's the perfect character to move the saga forward, just based off of the story that's been told. Like, she has the keys to the kingdom at the end of episode 9, just to bring it back to Star Wars specifically. Like, she has the keys of the kingdom. She has the Millennium Falcon. She knows where the two legacy Skywalker, where she knows where the two Skywalker sabers are buried. She has R2 with her. She has the Jedi text. She's the last Jedi that we know of in existence at this point in time. She's communed with all the Jedi, like, and so to speak, at once. Like, she is the only launching pad forward. If you're gonna stay, like Jay said, if we're gonna go further in the saga, 10, 11, 12, you might as well push forward, 100 years or something, to do something like deep in the future. That makes sense to me if we're gonna do 10, 11, 12. But if we're doing Rey-centric stories to give me a Jedi Order story, there is no other character that you can start with. There is no one else there that makes any sense, unless you want to just completely start over. And it doesn't seem like they want to completely start over. If she's the Obi-Wan figure in a Simon Kinberg trilogy, where she is going to be the mentor figure to a new group of Jedi that push forward, great. That's awesome. But it should still kind of start with Rey, because she does have the keys to the kingdom, and she is going to be responsible for launching us forward in the next part of our journey with the Jedi. And I think that, like, I want to see that. I think a lot of people want to see that. But, do we need 7 movies coming out about, Rey's Jedi Order? No, we don't need 7 movies. I think Lucasfilm knows we don't need 7 movies. So I'm not expecting us to get the Simon Kinberg trilogy, all Rey. Sean Levy's movie, all Rey. And Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's movie, all Rey. That's not going to happen. They're going to figure other things out. I think we got to, like, pump the brakes on what we expect how many Rey movies, like, are going to be, because chances are only, like, one of these movies is ever going to see the light of day anyway, because it's Lucasfilm.
Got to be real with ourselves.
How many movies do they have supposedly in development? In that article, they said that obviously there's the Kinberg trilogy. They said that, New Jedi Order. They said that Rogue Squadron is apparently still being workshopped. Lando's still being talked about. Taika Waititi's film is still being talked about. And, you have Mangold's film as well. And then obviously Mando and Grogu is pretty much done with,
did you get Filoni's
filming and everything. And then Filoni's movie. How many is that? 9?
That's 10.
That's 10. Like 10
That's
movies.
10.
We don't even have 10 saga films, and we have 11 Star Wars movies total. Like we're gonna pump out 10 movies in the next 10 years. Like stop. Like no.
Yes,
like,
one per year. Yes.
Some of these movies are never happening. We're gonna get to Mando and Grogu, and the post-credit scene is just the Lando movie.
It's the full movie.
Like you think it's a post-credit scene. Jay's sitting there, he's ready to go home after Mando and Grogu, and he goes, "Oh, Lando." And then he sits there for another 2.5 hours because it's the Lando movie, and he's like, "All right, guess I'm here."
Holding in my pee, like having to go, like wait for the credits to play, and
He's
end.
like, "It's never happening. There's never coming.
There's more of us."
I gotta go right here. So I was like, remember when Brian was on, and then like he was saying how like in episode, what was it, episode 1, when he was watching that in theaters, and he actually just went there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the episodes where I'm like, we're gonna like get blocked off YouTube forever because Brian was like, "Yeah, just one time I went, I made sure I had to go, and I didn't want to leave." I'm like, that's only something you can do in rural Kansas.
Oh, wow.
It's the only something you do in rural Kansas.
Might be so.
How many of those movies do you think see the light of day? I mean, we've talked about this before, but like, there's 10. So we talked about 10 movies. If I put the over
5.
under at 5.5, are you taking the over or under?
Taking the over.
I'm
Taking the over?
going. That's wild because I'm probably going under.
You think there's gonna be more?
Feels weird.
No, he said
Oh
under.
wait,
He said
sorry.
under.
Yeah, I said under.
Wait. Over being like over
Yeah,
being like
over 5.5 means at least six
Oh,
movies.
okay. No, I'm going under.
That's what I
I'm
meant.
going under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
Jay, I'm kind of surprised. I feel like
No.
you'd be an under
I'm
person.
going under. Yeah. I don't bet, that's why. So I don't know like what betting rules.
Well,
are.
like 5.5. So to get to 6, we know. So Mando and Grogu, that's locked. That's
Mando
locked.
and Grogu. Yep.
We'd have
Dawn
to
of the
assume
Jedi.
Dawn of the Jedi. Filoni's.
Filoni.
Those are probably, honestly, those feel like the 3 locks right now.
Sure. You
They'll
need 3
figure-
more though.
They'll figure
after
out
that,
a
yeah.
Rey movie. They will figure out a Rey movie. That's 4.
And then we'll stop there.
And
Because
then
I
after
have
that,
I have
it's-
zero
and-
faith
yeah.
in the other ones. Yeah.
After that, it's like you have no idea. If one of those movies, like if Dawn of the Jedi or the Rey movie, one of those does really well and really gravitates, then it's like boom, they probably pump out another 1 or 2 like around those. But if a Rey movie comes out and does not hit and doesn't generate the money they need, it's not like we're gonna have a trilogy on Rey again. Like they're not going to do something like that. So it's I would say 4. 3 maybe is where we should probably be, but we're going 4 just because we want to maybe feel good about something later.
Oh,
That's
and also
fine.
there's the High Republic movie that I'm probably going to be shooting at some point. So put it at okay, sorry.
Luke said, "I'm actually shooting a short film on the love story of Fontu and Ziri from Phase 2."
Ooh.
Oh.
Don't get me started.
Luke said, "I'm
Real.
actually shooting a documentary on the Lerman species and their
During the High Republic.
During the High Republic and their how they transitioned from a warlike monkey clan to just a agricultural isolationist species by the time of the Clone Wars." I've watched that documentary.
And you could get a story very similar if you were watching or reading Ewoks by Steve Orlando. Issue 2 actually just came out yesterday, and I'm all caught up on both issues. So check that out.
How would you
folks.
rate issue 2 of Ewoks?
I'm actually I'm not sure number wise. I'm captivated. Like I'm definitely watching. I'm reading this till the end. There's only 4 issues, so I'm definitely like gonna do all 4.
Oh.
It ties in surprisingly a lot to the Battle of Jakku that's going on right now too. So
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna put it at 5. Let's go 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10 is not a good score though.
That's not bad.
That's
not bad.
For Ewoks 2, 5 out of 10. I'm like, that's such a niche comic run. Like Ewoks 2, like 5 out of 10
Yeah.
Ewoks 2. If I'm chilling, like I'm having a lazy day, I might pull out a copy of Ewoks 2. Nice 5 out of 10. Like, what's a 5 out of 10 movie? that you like?
I mean,
Like, there's some good 5 out of 10 movies you put on every once in a while. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I'd go in like for me, like 5 out of 10. Like, I put like for me, like, and when it comes to comics, if it's below 6, I'm not buying, in my opinion.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Godzilla Kong. That's a 5 out of 10 movie on its best day. But man, that movie slapped in theaters. So I went to go see it.
Oh,
I watched a
Godzilla X Kong or Godzilla versus King Kong?
like the Godzilla X Kong, where
Yeah, okay,
that came out earlier this year, where
Yeah.
like King Kong literally grabbed little baby Kong and
Yeah.
used him as a hammer or slinging him around. That was crazy.
I was too busy watching Godzilla.
I watched that
-1.
on the IMAX. It was awesome. But that movie sucks, like from anything other than monster action. But that's 5 out of 10 that hits hard.
Good stuff.
That's what it's about. Alrighty then. So Andor season 2 coming up soon. Star Wars movies coming up sometime, maybe. We'll see.
Sometime. We'll
May
see.
26th. May 2026 is like the earliest we'll get a Star Wars movie. So we have plenty of time to get more news. I imagine April will also give us a lot of details on the new plans for Lucasfilm moving forward with feature films. I bet they'll kind of give us a more accurate slate timeline by then. Whether or not they stick to that timeline is, questionable. But you can find us at Star Wars Newsnet everywhere you consume your, news, Star Wars, anything, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're online, StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars updates, articles, everything. Check us out, Apple, Spotify, at Star Wars Newsnet. You can check out the Monday show this week where Paul and I talked about this new Star Wars trilogy and from Simon Kinberg, what that means moving forward. How big of a news do we think this was? What kind of story are we anticipating? Check out the Timeline show every Saturday. I think last week was actually Sunday, not gonna lie, but we got it out Saturday. It was Saturday night. I remember. Never mind. I take that back. Every Saturday, check out the Timeline show with Luke and I talking about the next piece of Star Wars canon material. This week, we'll be talking about the first 4 issues of Marvel's High Republic run. Gonna get into some Skier. Gonna get into some Keith Trennis. I'm looking forward to that. Going to talk about the Dringear a little bit. So looking forward to that. And next Monday, I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. We'll figure it out at some point, I'm sure. Jay, take us away. Tell us about some Good Games Dude video games.
Yes, Good Games Dude is my YouTube channel that I have, which is focused on helping video game fans, whether you're a newcomer or a longtime expert, longtime player, growing and helping them grow in their appreciation of video games. I have a new video coming out, should be posted tomorrow morning. I'm really excited. Here's the thumbnail. Assassin's Creed 2, 15 years later, talking about the 15th anniversary of Assassin's Creed 2 and why it's a gaming essential. That is, again, on my YouTube channel, Good Games Dude, so you can check that out starting tomorrow morning.
Very, very good. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Luke, for hopping on. Luke, I want to know real quick before you go, who is the #1 character in Ewoks 2?
We're feeling real hot on Wicket, but Chief Chirpa is also pretty cool. So Chief
I
Chirpa.
love that so much. Chief Chirpa.
Low Gray is pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one that dies in Return of the Jedi?
Well, it can't be because this takes place after Return of the Jedi.
I think,
really?
Low Gray has to be like the gray Ewok with like the fur
He's
hat,
the
right?
Elder Shaman, actually.
Yeah. Oh, what do you know? They have. I never knew that the Ewoks have hierarchies like that.
They do. Oh, the Red Ghost, which is Chief Chirpa's daughter.
His daughter is called Red
I'm so
Ghost.
sorry. Spoiler alert. I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Chief Chirpa has a daughter?
I'm so sorry.
Is she married to Low Gray the Shaman? Just like a Romeo Juliet?
Maybe that'll be in issue 3, but who knows? But it's been interesting because the Ewoks have a lot of dialogue between them that is translated into English. So
what is Ewoks about? I haven't read it. What is Ewoks about? Like, what is happening?
Dude, we were just about to wrap up this episode. Like,
I'm
what
so
are we
sorry.
doing?
Yeah,
here?
we'll hit it
But
real
now
quick.
I'm like, there's a shaman, and the chief's daughter is involved with the shaman.
No, that's not true.
No, I just totally made that up. Okay. It's heard Ewok shaman. I couldn't
Dude,
stop.
just read the comic
Which
already.
that is true. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Okay, who's the antagonist?
The Empire. They come back for a weapons cache on Andor.
What? That's crazy.
And they need a guide to get back there.
And this is the 5 out of 10 comic that.
They need a guide. You're not telling me that Low Gray is the guide.
They take Wicket as a hostage.
I'm buying this tomorrow. I'm gonna give me some Ewoks in my system. Everyone, for Light and Life, remember that we are all the Republic. We'll see you next Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time for Light and Life.